Except when she thought of King Caspian, her confidence faded away. She knew that if vampires were real, then the werewolves might be too, but she wasn't prepared to admit it. She was quickly becoming bored of this conversation with Carlos. Although he was very handsome and good in bed, she couldn't help feeling that there was something missing, similar to the feeling she had had when she was with Charles. "You got me there, Red," Carlos chuckled, and then stood from the bed, still staring at her as though he wanted to kiss her again, but instead added, "There's a group of highwaymen in Farrington right now who can protect you from the wolfmen. The king isn't going to do anything. He just remarried and is enjoying his new wife. Our leader can offer you protection for a small payment." Red couldn't believe what she was hearing. Of course, she should have suspected that Carlos wasn't sleeping with her because he was actually attracted to her. He must have had a hidden agenda from the start. Hot anger began rushing through her veins. Payment? No, she wasn't planning to pay anyone just so she would feel safe in her own tavern. She was willing to take her chances. She'd heard about the so-called werewolves, but didn't think she had anything to worry about. Her customers were still coming in, and no one was afraid to leave their homes after nightfall. "Payment? You can't be serious. I work hard and you think I'm just going to gift you a few gold coins because you've given me a decent enough orgasm?" she asked, laughing. But deep down she was furious with him for even daring to offer her something like that. "I don't like making jokes, Red, but who knows what might happen to the tavern? Werewolves are dangerous. What if they try to attack you or even rape you? I don't suppose you'd be so happy then." Carlos stood and started pulling on the rest of his clothes. Red's blood pressure was rising fast. Potent anger flashed through her body. She'd thought that Carlos was different. Not like the other men out there, but obviously she'd been bloody wrong. "Get out!" she shouted and began pushing him out the door. "Get the hell out of my house right now! I don't need some clever bastard telling me I can't protect my own business. If I ever need your help, I'll surely ask for it, but right now I'm perfectly fine on my own." Red wasn't even sure why she was so furious, but Carlos was already walking downstairs. When he was finally outside on her porch, she began hurling his shoes at his head. "Jesus, calm down, Red. It's only a small suggestion. You're making plenty of money, and sooner or later you'll need proper protection." "Yeah, I earn my money by working hard. You should try it sometime. Then maybe you'll realize that gold doesn't grow on trees," she shouted, losing control and then slamming the door behind her. Her breathing was erratic, and she stood with her back to the door for a few minutes, telling herself to calm down. Carlos had wound her up. "Red, darling, come on," he shouted from outside her front door. "I was only trying to be funny. We had a good time and I can make you come really quick again. The next orgasm is going to be spectacular." His comment only served to make her even more furious. She opened the door again and shouted back, "Get lost! And if you must know, I faked my orgasm exactly like I've done in the past 2 nights we spent together. You were just okay, Carlos." She watched how his jaw tightened and his face fell. Red laughed to herself, shut the door, and then started walking back upstairs. "You'll regret this, bitch, and soon," she heard him saying. He must have vanished in the forest afterwards because he didn't say anything else. Red thought about Carlos's warning, aware that she truly didn't know anything about him. They had spoken a few times, but now she realized that she'd been careless, trusting someone who wasn't from Farrington. Maybe he was dangerous after all, and only intended to portray a calm persona until he'd gotten what he wanted from her. She knew from early on that he was a highwayman, but never thought she had anything to worry about. Besides, she wasn't the kind of girl who took any kind of threat seriously, but right then, she had to think of not only her own future, but her grandmother's as well. Even Ruby would have agreed that the tavern didn't need any protection. Highwaymen and other travellers were always passing through Farrington, but Caspian made sure his people were safe. Red stretched her arms and climbed under the covers after she'd slipped out of her dress, deciding she would deal with Carlos tomorrow if necessary. She had sort of lost her temper, and now she was regretting shouting at him. When Red was angry, most of the time she couldn't control herself. Tonight was one of those nights. She was glad to finally be alone, then drifted off to sleep, hoping she truly had nothing to worry about tomorrow morning.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.